Charlie is back and she's in the post-it note card room with Gregory. Let me explain.
So, I was just reading some Reddit posts about FNaF when I stumbled upon one that grabbed my attention. It was a post about a guy that was asking why Nightmare Puppet was getting so much attention in the recent game. For some reason this grabbed my attention, so I decided to do some digging. I had to watch some videos and read a couple of posts to see if I can find any major lore implications related to Nightmare Puppet. So as the good FNaF theorist I am, I did some research and this is what I found. So here's what I got so far. First of all, I decided to look into all the appearances of Nightmare Puppet in Security Breach, and I started to find a pattern. Most of the Nightmare plushies were in locations in which they appeared to be somewhat hidden or trying to hide. But there was two locations that grabbed my attention. So for the first one, I don't even know how people found this one. It's just in a random ass hallway close to Roxanne's Raceway. If you look at the ceiling, you're gonna see a giant Freddy plush, and if you take a closer look, peeking behind Freddy, you might just see a mini Nightmare plush. Now think about this for a second. Why would they hide a mini Nightmare plush in such a random location? You might say it's maybe an Easter egg or maybe a fun little reference, but this next location is even more insane. This other plush is located during the endoskeleton chase. But unlike the others, this one isn't really a plush, it's a collectible. The only collectible that you could get of Nightmare. If you keep going straight, you eventually find this door right here. And this door features a little girl in what appears to be the FNaF 4 bed. It's literally the same bed, but the only difference is that the crying child isn't sitting on it. Instead, we got this little girl with some pointy tails that resembles Charlie a lot. Now if you actually open the door, you're gonna find a little golden gift, but in front of it an endoskeleton. And once you open the gift, you get a little collectible Nightmare plush. But notice how it says Nightmare plush instead of Nightmare. And whenever you open it, the endoskeleton activates. Now keep in mind that it said Nightmare plush instead of Nightmare, because that's gonna be important for later. And that got me thinking, why are they giving so much importance to Nightmare Puppet? So that's when everything started to make sense. Charlie is the one that possessed the puppet, and they're giving us all this Nightmare Puppet references for some reason, maybe to point specifically at Charlie. And all of the research led me to the sticky note room. That's when I decided to go back to Reddit and look for any sort of reference to Charlie and the post-it note card room. And that's when I saw this one. The fact that the door that leads to the post-it note card room, it's literally called Charlie door. Now I want you to think about it for a second. Why leave so many Charlie references if they're not gonna be important for the game? Why go through the trouble if it's never gonna have a major purpose? Unless it does. And I think there's more evidence to back that up in the post-it note card room. Mostly everybody can agree that Gregory is the one in this post-it note card room, as seen by the FNaF family table. But if you only have Gregory in this room, there's some things that really don't make sense. Like if we put all the sticky notes together, we can see that he drew a baby animatronic, which he wouldn't have been able to see since he was already dead by that time. And I guess you could say he was inside of Golden Freddy, but as we can see from the logbook, he couldn't see anything since him and Cassidy were the ones in the Golden Freddy suit. And we also have a puppet face, which again he wouldn't have been able to see. And there's some other things that really don't make sense, which I'm about to cover. But first I want you to take a look at all the little note cards together. So if this were to be Gregory, why does it say you are FNaF family in this picture right here? And why is there a picture of baby if, like I said before, he wouldn't have been able to see that? So this is when my Charlie theory comes in. What if Gregory wasn't the only one in this room and Charlie was actually with him the whole time? Now if you start to piece all the sticky notes together, everything starts to make more sense. It explains the you are FNaF family instead of I am FNaF family. And it also explains why there's a picture of baby at the bottom. And the sticky note right here also makes sense. The one that says this is my home and right at the bottom leave, referring to Charlie, Gregory being there first and not wanting her there. And this also explains why the puppet's there. Well, probably Charlie was the one that drew him. And this also explains why the Nightmare staff bots look the way they look. It was always weird to see a bunch of heads of this Nightmare staff bots in the post-Nord card room, but in MatPat's theory, he suggested that Gregory was using this Nightmare staff bots for parts, but there's no evidence to prove that he's aware that he's a robot. And if you still don't believe Charlie and Gregory are both in this room, I still got more evidence to back this up. So from the second set of sticky notes, I just wanted to quickly mention something. There seems to be some sort of connection with the number 3 a lot, like the 3 kids right here. There's 1, 2, 3 written on the sticky notes, and then 3 party heads. This also explains the security guard picture of Gregory shouldn't have been able to see that since he was already dead and inside the Golden Freddy suit. And I think the reference to number 3 refers to the last 3 kids that Charlie saw right before she died. This is what I think is the biggest piece of evidence, in which we keep the relationship to number 3. But for me, the biggest piece of evidence is the red, green, yellow, blue, which were the same colors that the kids from the Charlie minigame were wearing right before Charlie's death. It always stood out to me that in the minigame, everything was almost black and white except for that simple color coding of the wristband. There's also some other things that are really interesting, like the you and the me, and also the friends forever, which more than likely signifies that there might be 2 people in the room. And if you still don't believe me, I still got one more piece of evidence. The fact that whenever you're about to go there, you find this little pile of, well, trash, but it seems like someone was eating there. And if you take a closer look, you're gonna see 2 cups. And that's incredibly interesting, because if it was only Gregory, it would make sense for it to be 1 pizza and 1 cup, but there's 2 Freddy cups. But like I said, that was a minor detail, and I'm moving on with the theory. You may be asking, where's Charlie now? Well, to me, what we see from the Nord cards, Charlie may be left, and that's why we don't see her in the Pizzaplex anymore. It was always weird that whenever you would load up Security Breach, they'll throw you right into action without no explanation of how Gregory got there. But this is where my theory comes in. I believe both Gregory and Charlie will play on the arcades during the day, and then during the night, they will go back to the hiding spot under the Pizzaplex. The evidence for this is that we can see GG in the top records of all the little arcade machines, which probably signify Gregory. And that would explain why the points are so high up, since he's always there and he's always playing. And at one point he probably got careless, ended up getting stuck with Freddy and Charlie. This would explain the ruined DLC. Like, why would a random ass girl just go to the Pizzaplex that was abandoned and burnt unless she knew that Gregory was there? She probably had some sort of way of communicating with Gregory, or maybe she just went straight out of curiosity to try to find the only friend she had that was now lost in a burnt Pizzaplex. I also want to give a huge shout out to ID's Fantasy and FNaF, especially ID's Fantasy, since she made really good videos. I feel like her channel is really underrated, so yeah, I should probably go check it out. And I do have more things and more evidence to back up my theory, but I've been holding on this video for way too long, so I need to upload it. The GGY storyline from the Pizzaplex thingy came out, so that's really important for this video. And also the character encyclopedia came out, so that's also, it's pretty bad, but it has some sort of connection with some things that I'm saying. So I'm gonna make a part 2, so consider subscribing, like the video guys, and I'll see you guys in part 2.